Good morning and welcome to our second session in Open Access Week. Yesterday, we enjoyed a great session, an introduction to open access publishing and how to identify predatory journals. Today in our session, we're going to learn more about the importance of open access in increasing research impact and visibility, and why open access as one component of open science is important for equity and inclusion. So initially, the open science movement came as a solution to a problem. And this was the problem. Universities and funding agencies were paying for researchers to do research and report on results in articles. And faculty members were giving away articles, are actually giving away articles and copyrights to publishers for free. And publishers are setting subscription fees in order to access those results and those reports, those articles, and collecting money, and making many students, researchers, other people in the community having no access to the articles. They can't have access to the articles unless they subscribe, they pay a subscription fee, or unless libraries are subscribing to those databases and those articles. Well, in some parts of the world and in some institutions, libraries cannot afford to subscribe to those databases, expensive databases and expensive online journals. And this is why many researchers cannot have access to your publications or your articles sometimes. An example here in Lebanon, for example, as AUB, we had budget to subscribe to Elsevier's journals and many other publishers' databases, while other universities like the Lebanese University, for example, cannot pay to access those journals, and hence a wide range of students and of researchers cannot have access to our research. So because of this problem, the open access movement came in place. Open access publishing, just to introduce the concept to those who are new to it, especially our students, is a publishing model for scholarly communication that makes research information available to readers at no cost, as opposed to the traditional subscription model in which readers have access to scholarly information by paying a subscription. So yesterday, our presenters talked about or introduced two open access routes: the golden route and the green route. The gold route is when you publish your article in open access on a publisher's platform, but you as an author pay the fees to process your article. And the fees range from $100 to $3,500, depending on your field and depending on the journal. Today, we're not going to speak about this route. We're going to focus on the green route. The green route, which is when you are publishing through a commercial publisher, but you retain some of your rights to also publish in your institutional repository or on your own website. It's called self-archiving. Today, we're going to speak about our institutional repository, AUB Scholarworks. But before doing so, I wanted to show you a little bit. I wanted to give you some information on where you can find information related to the publisher if they would allow you to self-archive your publication or not. And this is an example from Springer Nature. If you're publishing with Springer, you go to their website, and on the website you can search for self-archiving of papers published via the subscription route. And the highlighted part is the part stating that Springer Nature permits author to self-archive the accepted manuscript on their own personal website or their funder's website or the institutional repository for public release after an embargo period. So for example, Springer Natures allow you to self-archive your manuscript, but after a certain period. And this depends on the journal. So some journals allow for, like they set a 6 months embargo period, and other journals set more. So if you scroll down on the website, and this is a screenshot to save time, Nature research journals, for example, set a 6 months period embargo. And after 6 months, you can make your article openly accessible in your institutional repository or on your own website or webpage. Now, I wanted to show you a little bit some of the institutional repositories available out there. This is not a new concept. Institutional repositories have been out there since, for us at AUB, we've had the institutional repository since 2004. And it used to host thesis and dissertation only. Since 2014, it started hosting research data and faculty publications. So if you go to the registry of open access repositories, you'll have a list of open access repositories around the world, and you can search by country, by software type, by the repository type, if it is an institutional repository or not. And I've made a quick, today we have around 5,401 repositories around the world. And I made a quick search. I filtered by United States and institutional repository to give you an idea about how many repositories are there. So in the United States, there are 660 institutional repositories. That means that 660 universities have an institutional repository to make their publications and scholarly output openly accessible to everyone. You can check this registry later if you like, and see, like, the first, for example, repository listed here is the Digital Commons at the University of Nebraska, and it holds more than 75,000 records. Okay, so this is not a new concept. At AUB, we have AUB Scholarworks. AUB Scholarworks is our institutional repository for faculty publications, for theses and dissertations, and for data sets. So what is AUB Scholarworks? AUB Scholarworks is a platform for the scholarship and research of the faculty, staff, and students at AUB. Its mission is to collect and disseminate and provide persistent and reliable access to the research and scholarship of our research community. It is supported by the library, and it provides you with different services. So today we're focusing on visibility and open access, but AUB Scholarworks provides you with a place to store your publications, research data, reports, and we're going to see more formats which can be submitted to AUB Scholarworks in the coming slide. It will assist you in the backup. It will back up whatever you submit to it. It makes your submission discoverable through structured metadata. It will be appended to your submission to make it searchable. And in terms of visibility, you'll have whatever you submit in open access if you want. So it will make your scholarly output openly accessible, which will increase your visibility. It will increase your research impact, and it will make others it will allow others to have access to your research, while when you're submitting it to a commercial publisher platform through the traditional submissions, many people will not have access to your research. Also, whenever you submit something to AUB Scholarworks, it will be indexed by all search engines. Your publications, your articles will be also indexed by Google Scholars, and they will show on Google Scholars and be openly accessible. The full article will be openly accessible. Also, you'll get a unique identifier, like the DOI you get on the publisher's platform. You get a unique identifier, we call it handle, and this will make it easier for you to cite whenever you're citing your submission. You can use also the unique identifier to point to it. You'll also have full control over your submission, so you can set an embargo period depending on the conditions set by the publisher where you've published. You can also set access restrictions. So you can say, for example, I want for my department to see my publication only, or for AUB community to see it, or for the whole world. And today we're encouraging removing access restrictions and making our scholarly output openly accessible to all and transparent, and doing transparent research. You'll also have institutional support. So we can remove your submission whenever you want. We can enrich it with metadata. We can tell you, we can give you statistical information like how many people have downloaded your research, etc. So what can you deposit to AUB Scholarworks? You can deposit articles, theses, projects, dissertations, technical reports, conference papers, data sets of all types and kinds and formats, teaching material, preprints and postprints. Those are the preprints and postprints of your articles, and working papers. What you cannot submit to AUB Scholarworks are the administrative and electronic records. Published material where publisher's policy does not allow deposit. So if you don't have the right to deposit, so if your publisher does not allow you to deposit or self-archive your article, then you cannot. E-portfolio for students, journal publishing, digitization of materials, shared collaborative space for, it's not a shared collaborative space for groups. Now, how to access AUB Scholarworks? If you go to the libraries page and you scroll down a little bit, on the right hand, there's a green button called AUB Scholarworks. So you can access AUB Scholarworks from the AUB Libraries page, or if you type in Google AUB Scholarworks, then you'll have access to it. This is AUB Scholarworks, scholarworks.aub.edu.lb. And when you go to this page, to AUB Scholarworks, you can search the repository by communities and collections, by issue date, by author, by titles, and by subject. If you want to submit something to AUB Scholarworks, and this is only for faculty members, students cannot do so. They have to come to us and tell us what they want to submit, and then we'll submit it on their behalf. But all faculty members and research assistants can submit to AUB Scholarworks. In order to do so, you have to log in using your AUB credentials. And then we've divided or we've laid it out in communities. Each community is a faculty. So if you are, for example, from the Faculty of Arts and Sciences, you'll go into this faculty, and then you'll find a link stating that you can submit a new submission to your collection. Under the Faculty of Arts and Sciences, you'll find collections, and those collections represent the departments. So let me show you a little bit. Let's go to AUB Data Bank, and let me share the screen. Okay. Okay. So you have to log in first and using your AUB credentials. And when you log in, you choose your faculty, for example, Faculty of Food, of Agriculture and Food Science. You choose your department. And then there's here a button called Submit a New Item to this collection. You press on it. And this will take you to the metadata page where you have to describe whatever you're submitting. Your author name, for example, Rahme, my name. Some of the fields are mandatory, some of the fields are not. The title is mandatory. Just a test. The issue date, the year is mandatory. And let's say 2020. The publisher, let's say Springer. If we have a citation, like the Springer citation, we can add it here. If we have a specific journal name, the identifier, the type, is it a book, an article, a book chapter, a data set, the language, and other information. It takes like not more than 5 minutes to fill in the metadata. The subject keywords, you have your abstract. If you have a sponsor, you can name your sponsor or funding agency, and another description if you want to add more information about your submission. And then on this page, you upload your document, either your data set or your article. And then this will go to us. We will you can review it, you can review the final information you've submitted. There's a license, and this license states that you are the owner of whatever you're submitting, and you have the right to submit it. And then you complete your submission. We will see your submission, and we will accept it, and then it will be indexed by the search engines and made openly accessible. Let's go back to the presentation. Okay. So now that we're done with AUB Scholarworks, we're going to talk about AUB Data Bank. But before we move to AUB Data Bank, does anyone have any question? Any questions so far? Okay. So AUB Data Bank is a place where you can store your data and make it openly accessible also to all. I'm facing some issues in. Okay. So can you see my screen now? Okay, perfect. Um, so yeah, this is a place to make your data openly accessible. And what is open data? Open data is data that can be freely used, reused, and redistributed by anyone, uh, subject only at most to the requirement to attribute and share alike. So it's not enough to make your data openly accessible, but you have to um, make it subject to open licenses. And by open licenses, we mean we usually use Creative Commons licenses. And there are three licenses which are the most open licenses. The first one is the CC0, the public domain license. The second one is the attribution. And the third one is a combination of the attribution and share alike license. And here I want to elaborate a little more on the licenses. So CC0 enables the owner of the copyright to waive uh, those interests in their work, and thereby they would place them as completely as possible in the public domain. So their work will be used freely, built upon, and reused for any purpose without restriction under copyright. For example, um, many museums in the state use their images, put their images under CC0. The Metropolitan Museum for Art, for example, shares more than 375,000 images under CC0, which enables millions of people to enjoy the collection and use it as they wish. The attribution license allows others to redistribute, change, remix, build upon your work, even commercially, as long as they credit you for the original creation. Um, the attribution and share alike license, this is a mixture of two licenses, the attribution and share alike, allows others to distribute, change, remix, and build upon your work, even commercially, as long as they credit you for the original creation. You and anyone using your new version of this work must release this adaptation with the same share alike license. So this is a little bit about the open licenses. So you can choose any of those licenses and append it to your dataset. Now, why it is important to share your research data? Sharing research data is very important to advance science through reproducible research. Many of the research we find nowadays are not reproducible. And this is an issue because you cannot verify the results without reproducible the material you've used, like the research data you've analyzed to reproduce a research or to come up with conclusions. You cannot verify the results, right? So it's impossible to verify results of your research if the data you've used is not available with the publication. It also improves the science. So whenever you as a scientist or as a researcher know that by the end of the project, you are required to uh, make your data openly accessible, you'll make sure that you'll collect better quality data, more representative data, you'll make sure you analyze it appropriately, etc. So this will improve the science. It comes with challenges, but also with benefits. Um, it's time saving because if someone else has already generated a certain data set that you can use, when he or she makes it openly accessible, you can use it instead of reinventing the wheel. And at the same time, you also share your research data for others to use it. It enables new discoveries and new directions also. So, and another thing which I didn't add here is that research data is nowadays a requirement by many funding agencies. So funding agencies nowadays don't want to pay twice or three times for researchers to generate the same research data set over and over again. They want they want to increase the return on investment. So this is another reason to share research data. Whenever you're sharing research data, um, this means that you have to have high quality data because you cannot share poor quality data. In order to do so, you have to describe it well. You have to enrich it with metadata. You have to enrich it with README files describing how you collected your data, who collected the data, which tools did you use, which versions of those tools or softwares, for example, did you use, and many more, and more information, contextual information about your data. It has to be well structured. It has to be properly stored and made available to others under specific licenses. And today we're encouraging open licenses. So in order to do so, to do a good data management, to make your data openly accessible by the end of your research, as a data services librarian, I can help you in writing a data management plan or in thinking about how you are going to manage your research data throughout your research data lifecycle in order to, by the end of the day, uh, provide high quality data, well described, well structured, and properly stored in order to make it available to others. AUB Data Bank, this is a screenshot. AUB Data Bank is a community under AUB Scholarworks. And under this community, we have two collections, the data sets. And this is where you submit your data set. We currently have 18 data sets. And another collection is the research supporting materials. And this is where you share non-data project files to support reproducibility or to enhance understanding of project data and publications. Here we have currently four submissions. They are questionnaires, like the questionnaires created by the Faculty of Health Sciences to disseminate and collect data. This is an example of non-data project files. Now, we have several services we provide at AUB Libraries. You can come to us and we can have a one-on-one consultation. We deliver webinars and online sessions, and also we tailor sessions for your classroom, so for specific groups of people or in specific fields. So if you're interested in any of our services, please do not hesitate to contact me, da31@AUB or dalal.rahme@aub.edu.lb. Now, do you have any questions? Anyone? Any questions? No? Okay. So I have a question. I have a question for you. It's for discussion, but what does equity mean for you? I mean, how do you understand equity? And do you think that open access would make research or open education more inclusive? And what about us, our region, and in our institution? Does